Go live. I got to make sure I get here and make sure it's not private.
Yep, you live.
All right, cool, cool, cool. What's up, everyone? Look, man, we're just getting started. It's the Raw Talk with Rob show. I got my ace, Big L, in the building, man. How you feeling, brother?
Man, I'm feeling real good. How about yourself, man?
I'm cooling, man. I'm excited about getting into this conversation tonight. What I'm gonna do here, real quick, you guys bear with me. I need to make sure that this is doing what it's supposed to do on all social media platforms. So you guys just hang tight and definitely feel free to share it. Okay, good, good. We live.
Yeah, we are live.
I'm sharing it in my stories. Let me go to the page real quick and share it there, and just to make sure that we are A1. Okay, good. I see it on there too. All right. Um, Share that in the stories, and then just share it again, reposting.
There you
Okay,
go.
cool. Okay, listen, guys, we appreciate you jumping on with us. It is about 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 Central Standard Time, West Coast. 6:30 p.m. Pacific.
Specific.
Very
Specific.
specific Pacific Standard Time. Hey man, we're
That's
gonna
right.
have a good time tonight. Now the topic tonight it's gonna be exactly what it is. It's boys to men. We're talking about the journey of a young boy all the way up to his adolescence to becoming a young man, and how his experiences actually affect him, um, how he dates and who he dates. And I think that it's a very necessary conversation that we don't talk about enough. We just get the end results, man. The ladies aren't liking these guys. They're emotionally unintelligent, whatever that means, and they got mommy issues, daddy issues, grandma issues, great granddaddy issues. But there's always a reason, and there's always some logic to everything, man. If you want to be realistic about it, now you can be your own psychiatrist, psychotherapist, psychologist, but there's some real reasons why people are who they are and how they got to where they got to. So it's your favorite Silver Fox, Rob Malloy. Listen, I wanted to jump on Facebook. I don't typically do Facebook, but I know that there's a large group on Facebook that follow my posts, and I thank you guys for your participation. Cap included. I acknowledge the caps, so you can bring those on to the post, man. I acknowledge them all. Um, but L, you've participated on a lot of my posts. You've interacted with some of the guys, some of the ladies, so you kind of see the overall consensus when it comes to specific context. So give a little insight about who you are. Anytime I get a guest, like what their status is, and maybe a little bit about what you want to share, what you do, and things like that, and why you thought it was a good idea to partake in this particular subject matter.
Yeah, so just a brief background on myself. I'm in the finance world of things as far as career wise. I do have, due to my line of work, I do have a lot of intimate conversations with people in my office as related to their financial goals, purchasing large items, and also I get to see people, couples interact in real time and ask questions as far as related to what they should do for their future, etc. And I see how those people interact with each other in context of a relationship. Um, Also, I'm a father of two children, got a grandbaby too. And also, I've become a really good listener, which I think is extremely important for us as men, especially as you get older or as you want to progress in life. Being a really good listener and paying attention and listening to some people that you may not necessarily like, but I'll be able to dissect the message if it is a good message, irregardless of the messenger.
And that's important, man. That's important because let's just be straight up, man. A lot of folks get in their feelings on social media. You know,
Yeah.
they don't own social media. Even their page, you don't really own your page because you can wake up one morning and you in Facebook jail for
Yeah.
something that you've done maybe a year or two ago. So you have to be realistic, man, not to take things so personal on social media. I understand that certain topics, man, will trigger folks. They always do, man. They always do. They may trigger folks, but it's important to be able to have that dialogue because these are people that you would never come in contact with in person or even on a regular basis, man. So virtually and online, man, we're able to just meet new people, have conversations with new people, and really the idea is to have the conversation, have the dialogue, and then go about your business. It's really not
Correct.
about going back and forth, me trying to convince you, you trying to convince me, and we going back and forth for absolutely no reason, whatsoever, and we miss messages and we miss the opportunity to have really important dialogue because if we could focus on if we can focus on the subject matter and the topic at hand, man, we can learn so much from each other. Just when we talk about from man to woman, there's some things that guys say on my platform that a woman's guy may never say to her, but he wants to say it, but because he don't want to be in the doghouse or he doesn't want to ruffle any feathers or things like that, he don't say nothing. And so you can actually learn
Hmm.
from each other and have these type of dialogues and just kind of let it be, what it is. Because at the end of the day, we don't really know each other like that. So we can learn from each other virtually.
Right.
And so, I've
Yep.
been doing, I've been on social media, at least from this perspective, man, from about 2018, and I started out with a group, a theme called GG After Dark, and I was just so raw. I was so raw, man, that people did not want to hear what I had to say, but here it is, years and years later. You have people with different platforms and even RIP Kevin Samuels, certain things that I was saying was in the same context when it comes to dating. Now, I'm not
Hmm.
here to tell a woman if she's 1 through 10 and all that stuff, but what I can tell her is, and what I can share is, if the things that you are doing on a consistent basis aren't working, it's okay to tweak them. You know what I mean? You can't
Yeah.
literally think that it's everybody else and everybody else has to conform to your ideologies, and this is why you don't have a man, or this is why you're single and things like that, man. And so, I always challenge the ladies because they're more vocal than the men are. We're very observant, we're very
Right.
analytical, and we sit back. We sit back and let the ladies talk. If you let a woman talk, man, she gonna tell you every damn thing you need to know. And if you ask the right questions, she will tell you everything you better know and pay attention to.
That's exactly right. And I think and just on that point before we get started, it's sometimes it can get contra. What's the word? Not controversial, but can get a little contentious,
Yeah,
especially in the event that people have different views or maybe someone speaks a point that someone else doesn't like. So it sometimes makes it tough. But if everybody can be able to express their viewpoint, be open to receive what someone else is saying, there could be some good dialogue to be had.
Yeah, yeah. Very important. So we're gonna jump right in. As you guys can see, follow me on all social media platforms. Let me go ahead and get that out the way. I am Rob Malloy. I want to thank everybody for your support throughout the years. We're gonna have a lot of fun tonight. There's gonna be some. You're gonna be triggered at some point. I'm gonna just go ahead and say it. You're going to be triggered at some point because this is the Raw Talk with Rob show, so I don't have to hold back, and I won't hold back. And please understand, these are personal opinions, personal perspectives, you know, all that, you know. So Big L, he has what he has and what he wants to say. I have what I want, you know, and I will say what I need to say. And I'll be doing my best to look at you guys' comments on. I think we're on Facebook and we're on YouTube. So you know, there may be some limited comments availability, but I'll do my best to take a look as we get into this conversation. So I'm just gonna jump right in. I wanted to talk about the journey from boys to men because as I mentioned earlier, man, there's a lot of ladies out here that are very dissatisfied with the dating pool. They make that very vocal. And at the same time, there's a lot of great relationships and marriages happening too. You can't acknowledge one without the other.
That's true.
Right? And so I have to do that. But there are a lot of single ladies, even on my platform. You can go to any major, you know, post that has anywhere between 200 plus comments. That's usually the one where they letting us have it, right? They letting us have it, man, which is okay. But you know, because I want them to be vocal, and I feel like I have created a safe space for them to be able to do that, man. And so I'm very happy and excited about that. So, you know, that being said, they're very unhappy. They're saying that, you know, there's a lot of guys out here that don't know what they want. There's a lot of mature men out here. There's a lot of men out here that haven't leveled up to put them as qualifiers, if you will, man. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That's incredible, right?
That's right.
So, you know, so with that being said, it just doesn't start all of a sudden. And so I wanted to kind of navigate that disposition, if you will, and what happens when guys or when young men, they start the way that they're raised, the way that they are nurtured, if you will, or lack thereof, just kind of depends, and how they got to where they got. And it's going to get really interesting because there's going to be some accountability involved at this case, right? In these cases. And so for me, man, just a little bit of background of me, man. I'm the youngest of four. My brother, I have an older brother, two sisters in between, and then years and years later, man, I came about, man. My parents celebrated 47 years of marriage on Monday.
Wow.
47 years, man. But here's what's more interesting. They are in their early 80s, right? So my parents didn't get married like a lot of other people that got married 15, 16, 15, 17 in the teens and stuff. My parents were in their 20s. In addition to that, which makes it more impressive. In addition to that, they had all their damn kids first. Wow. They had 4 children first, and then was like, you know what? Damn it, let's get married.
You know what? That typically, that's not the typical, as you say. And just speaking on, I'll just touch on this since you brought it up. One of the things that you hear a lot when we have these conversations is, you know, you hear some negativity as related to really young women getting married, and you hear it from the negative position of, oh, they were forced, etc.
Yeah.
But a lot of people have to remember, if you're talking about people who were or came of age, teenagers or young adults in the 50s, 50s or even early 60s, there was no birth control. So
Yeah.
you got, when you came of age, you got, you coupled up because
Yeah.
that threat was real. We live in a very comfortable time where we can prevent a lot of things like that, but
Hmm.
it's a different story back there. So you have to add some context about what things were really like back then.
That's good. That's real, man. Um,
Hmm.
that's really real. I don't think that people think about that at all. They just, I mean, but you have to acknowledge it because, you know, 10 kids, 12 kids, 15, 18 kids, you know, it's like as soon as one is out and it's time to get at it, man, they getting at it. So,
Yeah,
but also the purpose of having kids was also to build that legacy for that family. You
exactly.
know, in addition to that, they were all in the same household, so it's a lot different. You got six kids, two of them over there in Virginia, another two down in Florida. It's different, you know. So we're talking about family building, we're talking about legacy building, and another thing that I found very interesting is those kids had responsibilities and jobs growing up. Now,
Hmm.
now, now, whether whether they lived on a farm or whether they lived in the suburbs, whatever the case is, it wasn't no sleep until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock,
No, sir.
watching TV. Everybody had something to do, and everybody was accountable for their actions and activities and their chores.
Right.
And I truly believe, man, that's something that is lost. You know, kids are so entitled. They figure that mom and dad are doing okay because they don't see the struggle.
Yeah.
So they're like, mom and dad is doing okay. So I want some brand new shoes. Some new stuff came out. Video games, new computer. God forbid the new phone. Kids are getting phones at 3 and 4 years old now, man.
Man, it's crazy, and yeah, I think. Well, we have seen that when it's as related to young men, when you have young boys who get that kind of structure early in life, it continues through adulthood
Yeah,
with their work ethic, but also their relationships, whether it's romantically or with friends. They tend to have better overall relationships with people. And you're right. When you were back in those days, you had structure, you had something to do, you had a plan. Your day, you worked, and
yeah,
I think what has happened, at least for a couple of generations, is a lot of us, as we've come into more modern times, we want our children to have more than what we had,
yeah.
and I think that could be a good thing and a bad thing. Uh, so it's kind of a double-edged sword. There's a good balance that needs to be had.
That is. That's very true. For those of you guys just tuning in, it's the Raw Talk with Rob show. We're making a special appearance here on Facebook and YouTube. So we thank you guys. Definitely follow, like, subscribe, share, all that good stuff. Definitely drop some questions in the comments. We're talking about the journey of boys to men and how the influences and different factors as we come of age affect how we date, who we date, how we look at marriage. Just different perspectives as we become men. And so I have my special guest here, Big L, in the finance industry, married, kids and grandkids. I have three grandkids too, man. I have three boys, man. I got three daughters. Now I have three grandsons. So man, we level in the playing field with the legacy, man.
Mm-hmm.
So
It is.
I'm happy about that. Shout out to all my kids for sure. So jumping right in, man. Like I said, I grew up with both my parents. My dad was military, so he was Navy. So even with the Navy situation, he's gone, uh, to seas for months and months at a time. So, mom held things down, man. I always consider when I talk about my mom and growing up, I call her the CEO of the household. You
Yeah.
know, she definitely made sure that things was intact. So when my dad came home from, overseas, and when he came, back, he was able to come, relax, enjoy the family. Things were set up. It was a well-oiled machine. Moms had the kids in check. Yeah, I raked the grass. The girls cleaned the inside. My brother mowed, and we did all those things, man. And it it gave me a sense of appreciation of just really having that type of structure, man. Because once I did those things, man, I was able to be a kid. I can go outside,
Right.
ride my bike, go down the street, go in
Yeah.
the woods. I grew up in Florida, man, so we had woods and creeks and
Yeah.
tires with the rope hanging from the trees and all that stuff, man. So that's kind of how we grew up, and I miss those days, man. It was just so simple back then, but I really kind of appreciated not only the outdoors but being creative.
Yeah.
Not waiting around and saying I'm bored, I don't know what to do. There's plenty.
Hmm.
There's plenty to do, man. If I didn't have a bike, I'd go down there and I'd take somebody else's bike from them. I didn't care. I was a bully. I'd ride their bike. I was a baby Debo back then, man. I was a baby Debo. I'd take your bike and you'd have to come to my house to come get
That's right.
it. and you better get it in the middle of the night.
Hmm.
That's the only way.
Yeah.
But I didn't really think about um, girls and getting married and things like that, man, until later on. But at the same time, watching my parents and how they navigated through life and the kids
Yeah.
and certain trips and stuff like that, I think that subconsciously it was kind of like, this is what grown folks do. This is what a family is supposed to do. And I didn't know anything different. So I
Yeah.
didn't know about dad leaving and not coming back, and them going back and forth, and another man coming through the back door, Uncle Mike, and I didn't know any of that stuff, man. And,
Hmm.
and even if my parents had issues, it was never in the forefront.
Right.
It
Right.
was never in the forefront, and it's really different now because folks is fighting in front of their kids, man.
Yeah. 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 And that's the thing as related to the topic that we're talking about. It's important for a young man to witness in real time how it is to interact with another woman romantically, but also just how to interact with people in general. And the best way for a young man to do that is to see it from the person that he, respects, admires, and reveres, which is a good, strong father that's in the household. And we all we all have grown up to miss a few things.
Yeah,
Um, but when that is missing, it's hard to replicate it or teach it to a young man when it's not there.
fact.
And that is one of the, if you look at a lot of the data, there's a huge disparity between how young men perform in school, and also how they behave when they're under someone's authority. And there's some unflattering statistics about men, the road to prison, so to speak. A lot of those men, I think, depending on what data you look at, say 70 to 80% of those young men come from single parent homes,
Yeah,
and that's a staggering statistic when you start to look at it. So um, I think that you know it's a tough thing to talk about, but it's something that we all have to deal with one way or the other, either through our homes, through the ones that we give our time to, or unfortunately out there, and when you're at a red light, somebody come up with that thing to your head, tell me to get out your car.
yeah.
So you're gonna there's gonna be a price to pay, so to speak, some way of some time if you really want to talk about and address the issue.
That's good. And I'm gonna piggyback off of that. And this is when it's gonna get real. You have to think about, man, if a couple is together, whether they're married, living together, whatever, and they have a child and they bust up, then the arrangements, the living arrangements change. So they may come from a very nice neighborhood, the burbs and whatnot, and then when they bust up, maybe both of them now have to go to wherever they can afford. And let's get real, man. So you start talking about if the woman is the primary has primary custody, and she's pretty much she wasn't the breadwinner. She got to do what she got to do, man. So that's when you start talking about subsidized housing. Let's keep it 100. This is the raw talk. You start talking about Section 8. You start talking about going to maybe from a home to an apartment. You may go from a situation where you got to move in with a family member. They may not be in the best neighborhood, or maybe even with a friend.
Yeah.
And so now that child is exposed to a different environment. So yeah, of course the behavior is going to change, because number one, they have a different surrounding, but not only that, they are now out of their comfort zone. Mom is out of their comfort zone, or maybe dad, because there's plenty of single dads out here that are doing what they can do as well. But I'm just talking about from a single parent standpoint. And I know that even me being married before, I'm that happened to my ex-wives. We went from a nice house to me doing whatever I got to do, and then her doing whatever she got to do,
Yeah.
until you can kind of rebuild and reestablish that type of situation. But in
Mhm.
that window, what the hell's really going on? The kid is you know suffering just like the parents are suffering.
Yeah.
And there's so many different changes that they're going through. So to your point, the behavior in school, them not really giving a damn, because it's like the most important people that I love and listen to and look up to, they're going through things. So I don't care who the teacher is, I don't care who the principal is, I don't care who the coach is. This isn't home, so I don't have that same value and respect.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that at least in modern times, this is a subject that can kind of get a little touchy as well. Is when you're talking about when to stay and when to leave. When you look back if you go back a couple of generations, people stayed together. Breaking up the home was an absolute last thing to do, because at the end of the day, the ones that were going to pay the ultimate price would be the children. In a
Right.
lot of cases, the boys, because let's face it, ain't nobody coming to save your son. If
Right.
he's not productive, if he's not bringing something to the world, if he's not making something of himself, I mean, the only thing that's waiting for him is the streets.
Streets.
Uh-huh.
That's
And
it.
that's a that's a sad reality. And young men can find a home in the streets. And what I mean by that is doing things that would be unfavorable in the form of, joining the gang, getting with the wrong crowd, so to speak, just out there. And we've seen it way too many times. And those are some of the things that can um, come from a young man not having a good, solid home, two-parent home, and a solid foundation.
Yeah. Um, and so when you start talking about the community, and not to jump ahead, but when you start talking about the community back then is a lot different than the communities now. Uh, we've all heard people, hey, this generation is crazy, they entitled, they they don't want to be bothered. But the communities back then was way different, because it we took it serious.
Yeah.
It's life or death.
Yeah.
So yeah, you would have Mr. Johnson or Mrs. Johnson, uh, uh, maybe chastise the kids, or at least get a hold of their parents or their guardians and say, hey, you know what? I saw a little Tariq, I saw a little Malik, I saw, with some guys they ain't had no business being with.
Yeah.
They was probably supposed to be at school, skipping school. man, it was way different. Now people are talking about, hey, that ain't my business until it's their business. And then once it's their
Exactly.
business, now there's an outreach and it's a outcry about why we not taking care of each other and why we not accountable for our communities. But to your point, when we're talking about boys to men, and this is so crucial and critical because I know for me, I've been exposed to uh, gangs. I've been exposed to selling drugs, fast life,
Hmm.
just all of that stuff. And what I would think about, why I wouldn't engage, is I would think about one thing. I get my ass whooped, right? So that was the first thing I thought about was the repercussions coming home. But also, I would also think about I have a home. I
Right.
have a mom, I have a dad, I have siblings. So there's people that care about me. There's
Yeah.
people that would miss me. There's
Hmm.
people that I would miss. And
Yeah.
so, man, just that type of structure is so important because the mindset of a young boy, a mindset of an adolescent, a young teen is a teen boy is belonging,
Yeah.
right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Structure, belonging, contribution, being able to contribute. We want to be proud of something that we did. We want to be proud of something that we accomplished. And believe it or not, I personally feel like as a young boy, as a young man, when you talk about validation, it is more important for a young boy to have validation than it is a woman, a young girl. And
Yeah.
the reason is that validation for a young girl can come from a young man, can come from a father, it can come from a boy, you
Hmm.
know? And that's kind of where I think the women not wanting to be taken for granted, wanting to feel wanted, wanting to feel appreciated. It's so significant when it comes from their guy,
Yeah.
right? It
Yeah.
can come from mom, that's cute. It can come from your girls.
Yeah.
Obviously, if it comes from your dad, that is extremely significant, especially coming up.
Yeah.
But but
Oh yeah.
but your guy, and let's just be real about it. A lady can step out all day long. She's beautiful, and guys is hooting, hollering. I love your legs. You're so beautiful. Your eyes, your walk, your confidence, and she can hear that 1,000 times a day from strangers, even coworkers.
Yeah.
She can get that reinforcement from her man. She will take that versus 10,000 strangers.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's it's one of those things, kind of similar to the fact of, you know, what's the difference when if a woman sees a man across the restaurant, winking at her, the difference between him being a creep and her being taking it as something good is her level of attraction to him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And that's the same thing, like what you just said. It, look, that validation, that admiration coming from someone that she's identified that she likes and appreciates in her life, it's more important than anything that anybody else could say 1,000 times.
Yes. Yes, indeed.
And
Uh,
that's one of the things, especially from young men that learn from their fathers, is that level, how to show that level of appreciation in a way that it comes off as attractive to the woman that he's speaking to. Because, there's one thing to be nice, but there's another thing to be attractive to a woman.
right.
It's one of the things that dads can teach.
That's it, man. I mean, that is definitely something that is you can't debate that, man. And
Yeah.
ladies, y'all can't debate that, man, because
They'll debate it sometimes. Like, I don't care
yeah,
what.
they'll say that. Well, it's not all about looks; it's about connection and tell. Okay, I tell you what, if he look like a monster from across the room, you cringing on him when he's walking towards you,
Right,
right?
exactly.
So you cut it out.
Yeah.
You cringing.
Look,
You getting your girls for interference ASAP. Oh, he coming, girl. I need you to. You need to block that. And tell him I'm married or whatever.
man,
So cut it out.
Yeah, as men, through your life as you're growing up and you trying to find a lady, and this is for all the ladies that don't know, men face a lot of rejection, a
Man.
lot of no's, a lot of embarrassment trying to find a woman that he can call his own a lot. And you may not think that this is true, but the more uh, the guys that are identified as being someone that's worthy or someone who most women would like, they face even more.
Yeah.
Their level of they are more apt to go and shoot for whatever it is that they want, and they're
Yeah.
typically more active.
Yeah. That's it. Look,
Mhm.
we're a little over halfway through. I wanted to make sure that we got a good hour in. So if you're watching this for the first time, let us know that you're enjoying the Raw Talk with Rob show. Of course, your favorite Steel Fox. I am Rob Malloy. Follow me on all social media platforms. Also, I got my guy Big L, and I see what we'll have to do, man, because this is so important. We wanted to do this last week, but there was a scheduling conflict, and even this week it was supposed to be tomorrow, but I do have an engagement. If you go to my Facebook page, IG page, you'll see what's going on tomorrow. Definitely would have you guys come out if you're in the Atlanta area. It's free, so just go ahead and check it out. But it's so important, this specific subject, because again, we're going through the process that men go through, and the plight of a man, and I gotta say it, even the plight of a black man. It's hard to even say to go in with our stories without a comparison. Like we just can't have a unilateral plight or conversation, without any comparison or without it being downplayed
Yeah.
or undervalued. But you really have to understand that as a black man, we're here to protect our families, right?
Yes.
So if you just think about that line alone, the are our sisters significant? Are they nurturers? Do they take care of the household? Do they support us? Do they multiply what we have? Absolutely, right?
Yeah.
But who's going to protect them? Who's going to protect them?
Yeah.
So if you just kind of look at the structure of how it should be, you really have to make sure that you have a man that believes in that structure, that he gets guidance first and foremost, and that he is to protect, he is to secure, he is to provide. And it's twisted because we're in a day and age where women are providing in the household.
Hmm.
And I'm not saying that things don't happen in people's household, because it does. I even when I was married, there was times where I was down. There was times where, she had to step in and do what she had to do. Now, mind you, she was my wife. Okay,
Right.
so let's be very clear. It ain't somebody, I was just dating. Hey, I need you to take care of the mortgage. All right, but you can't stay here.
Right.
So,
Right.
so keeping that in perspective, man, we have to make sure that our black men are good so they can take care of the family, the wife, the partner, the significant other, to also help make sure that the entire household is good. And so that's why I think that this conversation is so significant. But we also have to talk about a lot of the factors. We have to talk about a lot of the factors of why sometimes you get a guy and he don't know how to be a leader.
Yeah.
You have to know that sometimes you're gonna bump into a guy that is accustomed to being taken care of.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to understand that he ain't just pop up and do that.
Right.
And also you also have to think about, again, how was his upbringing? What did he see? What was his norm? and what path and decision did he make and decide to go to kind of get to where he is, to where he's not in the right position to lead a family, let alone raise children, let alone be more effective in his community, and most important, identify what his purpose is. And
Yeah.
that's something I like to talk about,
Key.
because if you're dating a guy, whether it's a teenager, because this is for the teens as well. If you're dating a guy, teenager, adolescent, young man, old ass man, grown man, and he does not know what his purpose is. He is not even thinking about, what his mission is. You have to think about, how far do you think that relationship, courtship, is going to go anyway. I don't care if he's 7'3", 265 pounds, ripped, swag
Mhm.
on two gillion, and all of that, man. Vernacular game and all that, man. You gonna get tired of it, and I think that's what's happening. It's like the presentation is not matching, man, for the longevity and the sustainability.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. And kind of to touch on that point, when we'll go back just a little bit. Back in the day, in our parents' times, in our grandparents' times, fathers were heavily involved in the selection
Come
of a
on, man.
young woman's mate. And back then, and just 2 generations ago and before, all it wasn't necessarily, you didn't pick a man necessarily for what he looked like, how he dressed, etc.
Hmm.
You picked a good man based on what his ability to provide and his purpose.
Man,
And they got together and they fell in love.
right.
You know what I'm saying? They didn't get together and marry because they were in love. They fell in love. And that's, if you look back to a lot of our grandparents, you'll see that you didn't necessarily see them hugging and kissing all the time. A lot of times they may not even been sharing the same personal space.
Yeah,
Maybe in the kitchen, mom may be over there talking with a friend group, etc. Dad may
yeah.
be over there. But they were married, and people look at that sometimes negatively. No, that worked, and that's the reason why we're all here. But back to your point of what you were saying about leading, a lot of us, and I look back in some of the things and some of the struggles that I had in my own life, and some of my peers back in the day. You know, if you don't have a father in the home, um, you see your mom do it all.
Mm.
You see her make a way. You see the struggles that she goes through, and it brings up one of those topics where you hearing girls say, "Oh, he want to borrow my car. He brought it back with on E, et cetera, et cetera." He probably did his mom like that. And it's a little tough to think about, but it's because in a lot of cases, mom always had his back. Mama always made a way. Oh, what? I ain't got to put no gas in here. Mom gonna put some gas in there,
Yeah.
etc. And those things, unfortunately, those things get carried along with that young gentleman into adulthood, and it it causes for some fractured and some tough relationships for him and the young lady that he's involved with.
That's powerful, man. You just dropped the bomb, man. You dropped the bomb, and the reason why I say it's a bomb is because, like I said in the beginning of the broadcast, man, there are reasons for behavior.
Yeah.
I remember for me, just years ago, man, when I would have a conflict with my significant other, and she's like, "Well, Rob, why'd you do that?" I would say, "I don't
Yeah.
know." First thing, I don't know. Number
Yeah.
one is because I didn't want to address it,
Right.
right?
Exactly.
Accountability.
Yeah.
But number two, if I told the truth, it probably would have shocked the hell out of her. If I would have said, "Well, the reason why I did it is because, well, that's what I saw, or
Yeah.
that's what I'm used to doing, and
Yeah.
nobody has ever challenged me, so this is the first time I'm being challenged." Like
Hmm.
it's little things like that, man, that makes such a significant difference when we're talking about marriage and partnership and things like that. Being accountable is so key, right?
Hmm.
But also being honest and being honest and transparent with your activities. It's something that you've been doing for 15 years, 20 years,
Yeah.
right? So that is the reason. It's not because I can and because I'm a grown ass man, right? So that's when you get those barriers and you get those blocks and you can't get past that because people don't want to be transparent. And sometimes people don't want to hear, or if they do hear it, they don't want to deal with it. They just
Yeah.
figure that's an excuse, or well, you need to do better, or I'm leaving, or I ain't got to deal with this,
Hmm.
versus dealing with it head on and understanding, like you said, this stuff is decades old. It's
Yeah.
decades
Yeah.
old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And,
yeah, you good? Go ahead.
yeah. And one of the things that you just mentioned, this is another tough thing that we have to consider is as well too. If a young man seen his uh, father in and out of the home, very inconsistent, etc., and there's a chance that when he gets older, that and he's seen his mom still make a way after dad was gone or dad was inconsistent and do what he's supposed to do, he may be more likely to um, bail when things get tough with the woman that he shared a life with.
Right.
And because, hey, you know what? I see my mom do. She'll be, you know what? Maybe she's better off without me, etc.
Yeah.
And it's that cycle, man. And you know, when you start thinking, when you start looking at these things honestly and start having real conversations about it, you'll see some similarities and some trends in the upbringing. Just like a lot of women say, and they have every right to say this, you know, how do he treat his mom? But you know,
Right.
what they also have to think about is, was dad there?
Yeah.
You know, so it's a really it's deep, man, and I'm glad you've decided to have this conversation and have me along to chat with you about it, man, because looking at some of my shortcomings in my life and and just in general, maybe you can get some good information to someone to help them have a better outcome.
Yeah, indeed, man. I think we're gonna have to table this to a part two. Um, Definitely, and I want to bring on, people that are raising a son. Maybe a, um, parents of someone, and then maybe a single parent
Yeah,
of someone, and then maybe even a part three to add to a little bit more of the conversation of the challenges and some of the advantages of people that obviously have had different outcomes with not only their child but dating or
yeah,
marriage, because again it translates and transitions over to relationships. And a lot of times you don't see that until you are well into having to deal with it. When you're dealing with conflict and when you're dealing with
oh man,
situations that trigger,
yeah,
that probably wasn't handled well at home, or just the conflict resolution methods weren't taught. I know for me, again, I said that my parents, they never argued in front of us, but at the same time, we didn't know how they handled conflict resolution.
yeah,
So it's like you got to think about that, man. So that means we didn't have any tips, we didn't have any conversations about it. There was no discussion of, hey, you know what, we had some issues. Um, the way that I handle things is I typically I get quiet for a few hours. I might
yeah,
have to leave the house because I'm frustrated.
yeah,
Imagine parents explaining their activities after things done cooled off. I understand that
Right.
you got to go out, slam the door, the kids crying, snot, and all that stuff. But imagining after the resolve, talking to the kids and saying, you know what, you might have heard me raise my voice at your dad or your mom, but we had some issues that we had to talk through. But
Hmm.
but the goal is to get to the point that where we could talk through it.
Yeah.
You know, that's so valuable. I've never had that. I've
Yeah.
never heard too many people actually talk about their parents talking about their personal conflict resolution. And just to kind of give them some pointers, or just to kind of give them the ideal that it even happens.
Yeah.
It
Exactly.
happens.
Yeah.
So
Man.
I think that's incredible, man.
Yeah. That's deep right there because I haven't looked at it from that perspective, but it makes a lot of sense. You know, you didn't see them having those spats, etc. But giving you the blueprint, giving the kids the blueprint would be key to conflict resolution. I wasn't good at conflict resolution at one point in my life because I really didn't know how to uh, res- respond to certain situations. As I got older, got more experience, and got really close to my uncle,
Yeah.
um, who taught me how to never forget. He called me one time, and he we were on the phone. And he was teaching me how to speak on the phone as a man.
Wow.
And I remember he corrected me a couple of times, man. And when I even think about it, I can hear it. I can hear his voice to this day. That was, 40, 35 years ago. And it's those things are key. How a man speaks, how you speak to people, your conflict resolution, etc., is key to the relationships that you forge, especially romantically or at work or just friends.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to have that, man, because those are all relationships, and those are all influences
Yeah,
amongst each other. Obviously, if you got things going on at work, it can carry over to home. If you got things
yeah,
going on at home, it can carry over, to your performance.
yeah,
And it can spill over to your relationships,
yeah.
including your friendships. Hey, you even may try to kick the dog for no reason, man.
Man,
Like it all plays a part, man. And
it
it's
does.
it's crazy, but it's so real. And
Yeah,
so we just really, uh, we really just got to the surface. There's so much more, but I wanted to make sure that we laid a foundation of the content and the context. We'll figure out the next date. That way we can get plenty of promo, plenty of advertisement. We can get some solicitation. Hey, we might even accept sponsors, man. We might
oh
even
yeah,
accept
oh yeah.
sponsors, man. So if you are an entrepreneur, a company, corporation, small business, large business, and you want some advertisement, man, let us know, man. We'll definitely make that happen. Doesn't matter what city, what state, really, what country, because your business should be online at this
That's
point.
right.
Come on, it's 2023, so you should have some online business at
That's
this
right.
particular point.
That's right.
Um, but I do want to thank you for your time, man. We got some other projects that we can't even let them know, man. But this is trust me, this is a nice teaser for y'all. As you can see, we both can articulate, right? We have the vernacular, we have we got it all, man. From looks to now the only thing for me, man, is I got to get my video and all that stuff together. So this
Yeah,
is last minute. Uh, I'm matching my chair. My chair is burgundy, man.
we gonna get you together. We gonna get you together. Hey,
But
but you
yeah,
gotta
man.
acknowledge it, man. You gotta acknowledge it. You know what I mean? You gotta acknowledge the elephant in the room, right?
Yeah, man. I have no problem with that. Y'all know what I do when I step out, man. So I'm chilling right now. But
That's right.
most importantly, I really wanted to make sure that this topic was very important. And so, for the remainder 5 to 6 minutes, I want to talk about the importance of, again, this topic, because when you look at social media, man, the narrative is a tug of war between men and women.
Yeah.
I would even go as far as to say black men and black women. You look on the post.
Yes.
I mean, we see it. It's garbage. There's a lot of garbage out there. And that's on both sides. There's way too many men that are degrading our sisters, our women, that are being disrespectful from, the decisions that they make, whether it be with their body, their careers, with their family, and the choices they make. That's not your wife, bro.
Right.
That's not your wife. That's not your sister. That's not, your mama. And I'm saying that because those are the people that if you think that you had a voice in, those will be the people that you need to be on their pages. Get on your mama page.
Right.
Talk
right.
about your sister and your daughter, your nieces, and all that. But stay off these women's pages, man, that you ain't got no business with.
That's right.
That's
right.
and I just say that because because those of our brothers, there got to be some type of accountability. There's got to be some type of coat pulling that we should be able to have, and then keep it moving.
Keep it moving.
And keep it moving, because there's too much that we need to be accomplished. There's too much business that needs to be happening. And what I mean by business, I mean family business and making money, right? We got to be doing that. Like it's just too much. And again for the ladies, man. I mean, the ladies are really, really interesting nowadays, because there's just so many that are saying that it's hard to find, a guy of a certain caliber. And I'm gonna go ahead and say this because this is just me, and it wouldn't be me if I didn't. But they're afraid to actually partake of engaging with people of a higher caliber. Now you could talk about all the lames all day long, all the herbs, that's that up north stuff. You can talk about all the, what was the other one? That they call simps. There you go. Yeah. You can talk about all the simps and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be damned when a guy of a higher caliber steps to you, or a guy of a higher caliber piques your interest. Oh, well, he need to be the man. He need to approach me. And oh, well, if a man is a hunter, you not even in position, baby girl. You're not even putting yourself in position.
Oh, Rob.
to be with people of a higher caliber. So you could talk about all the little, I call women like that project chicks. Not projects like in the hood, but project they like guys that they could fix up. Oh, he just needs his swag tweaked. He just needs his resume. I got an uncle that can get him a corporate job because he's a blue collar worker.
Yeah.
We running out of time, but boy, I want to get in it.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
the one of the things that you mentioned, I'm pretty sure you get this question from time to time too, just being out in social settings is, how can I find a man? One of the responses I get in reference to that is, you should be thinking about how you can be found by a man.
Man, come on, bro.
And it's once you've changed your thought process behind that, you'll focus more on what it is that you can do as a young lady to be in position to be sought after by the kind of guy that you want.
That's good.
And
that's good. That's so powerful. Let me tell you how powerful that is. That is so powerful that if a person is really serious about positioning themselves, they would look at their presentation.
Man.
Right? That you would look at your presentation. You would look at how you are being perceived. Now, I'm not talking about you change who you are and ain't nobody gonna make. Now, I'm not talking about that. But I'm talking about if you look at your content, your context, and just how you move, because you have to understand that many men, not 50%, but many men are very analytical. We do a lot of watching,
Yeah.
right? And so when you start talking about men being hunters, we looking at you, and we like, okay, you know what? That ain't it. Because if she's doing that single, then what's going to happen when we start dating, when we start courting? Because I don't want you to be out of character. I want you to be who you are.
Yeah.
But I also need you to pay attention to the presentation. And we're gonna go over a little bit just because we can. But I have to address this, man. I remember making a post, L, talking about asking the ladies, do you have a single side of the closet, and do you have now I'm in a relationship side of a closet? Now, I promise you, I know that's a crazy question, right?
That's a good one.
But I will promise you 90 to 95% said that they will dress the exact same. That's how he found me. That's what attracted him to me. And so why would I change? This is who I am.
Well, for the ladies who don't understand that why men may ask you to change the way you dress is because there's a time that he's getting to know you. You may have attracted him for whatever reason, the way you look, you may have been looking a certain way, but there's a different way that he wants you. There's a different presentation he expects when he identifies you as the woman in his life.
Yeah.
You just can't come in the door and say, hey, this is what I like, what I don't like, etc. There's a time, because let's be honest, and this is one of the things that are hard for the ladies to differentiate: a man that is taking you serious or a man that is taking you for fun. And that is one of the hardest things for the women to identify. There's certain things, we won't get into it tonight, we'll say that for later, that you do as a woman or ask to see what level of seriousness is this man taking you. And that's another tough subject. I've seen you ask questions related to this, and the numbers run up, and the numbers run way up, and it's that's a tough subject.
It is. We will definitely revisit it. But I want to thank everybody that tuned in. If you're watching this replay, definitely hashtag replay so we can make sure that it is making its rotation in the algorithms. Obviously, we're using our own platform and we're putting it on another social media platform. So you already know how the algorithms are going to be, unless it's being boosted by, payments and things like that. So
right.
feel free to share it. I didn't get, too bad. I didn't curse, and I think I contained myself pretty well.
You did
this time, but best believe when I got some things I got to get off, and I know that it has to come off a certain way for people to understand it, then I'm going to revert. Yeah. I'm going to revert to that because that's what people understand.
Right.
They comprehend that a lot better. So we thank you for that. Definitely follow us on our social media platforms. As you can see, I am Rob Malloy. We got Big L right here, and as we close, my purpose and my goal really is to help bridge the gap between us men and between the men and the women. And I think I think that if we can actually take things in terms of just having better association, having better platonic relationships, having better friendships, and everything not immediately go into a romantic or sexual intimate situation, then we can actually get a lot more accomplished. Because when you don't have a specific goal, like you're trying to sleep with someone, you're trying to hit, hit a lick, because women are still hitting licks in 2022, man. They still going after 'em. Let's
Yeah.
just be 100. Just like dudes are just going after uh, strictly physical. I mean, so we're gonna address both ends of the coin, but there's so much more that we can get accomplished because there's a lot of people that are thriving right now. There's a lot of women that are thriving in their
Yeah.
business. They're thriving. They're thriving in their femininity to actually help other women understand and embrace the femininity, right? And there's a lot of guys that are doing big things, that are mature, that are about their business, are becoming better leaders, and even more impressive, understanding that they can become a better
Yeah.
servant, because the best servants create the best leaders.
That's
People
true.
people don't realize that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. Yeah. And man, that you said a lot there, and you said a lot of truths. And bridging that gap between the genders, starting a conversation, allowing people to have a conversation for better understanding, to have a better outcome. At the end of the day, that's my goal, and also to shed some light on some of the things that men think, that we talk amongst ourselves, that could be very good information for the ladies to have.
Yeah,
And a lot of different levels. And man, if we as people can really come together, man, we can do great things.
yeah, yeah. And that's the ultimate goal. So stay tuned to the Raw Talk with Rob show. We're not done with this topic, and to be honest with you, it could go on forever because there's just so much information. There's so much experiences that we can talk about. Next broadcast, I even want to get into a little bit about my discovery of why I got married. A lot of times people deal with the statistics of in the 60 percentile of the divorce rate. But if you break that down, if you break down that 60 to 65% of why people got divorced, you would have to have a subtopic of why these people got married to understand why they got divorced.
Yeah, that's
So you got to think about how many people got married because of circumstance. How many people got married to hit a lick? How many people got married, because they felt forced or trapped? You got to dig into those, and you're not always going to get those full numbers because who's going to put it in the consensus? Who's going to put it in the census of why they really got married? That's not going to happen. But if you think about just the people that the family members, friends, the associates, when you start looking at why they got married, because you know why they got married, right?
right. Yeah.
Rebound after a divorce or breakup, somebody feeling like they were drugged for the last 10, 15 years, and somebody comes along and they want to get married in the next 6 months, you jump in.
Yeah.
But you don't know who that guy is. You don't know who that woman is, man. So we can dig into that. But the reason why I deal with dating after divorce so heavily is because, it's a new chapter in life, but people want to bring their old experiences in that new chapter. You know what I'm saying? So that's like bringing pages of an old book into a new book. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to understand because pages 3 through 16 don't even match, the pages in the
Right.
new book, and so
They don't match up.
they don't match up. It's two different stories. It's two different moments in time. It's two different people if you want to get real with it,
Yeah.
because you're in two different places. But we can do that all day, man. Like I said, we're gonna go to an hour and 15 minutes just to let y'all know, man. There's so much of topics and subtopics, and I thought it was important to have men on here because number one, I think ladies, y'all have a tendency to talk too much, and you have a tendency to listen to respond or react versus listen to understand, right?
Yeah.
And the reason being is their question that they want to say, they will hold that question just to respond to the last thing that you said, L.
Yeah.
Instead of them getting to the point that they want to get to, well, why does this happen? What are these things about? Versus, well, when men do it, then it's not a problem. And you already know how that goes. I'm just keeping it 1,000.
Yeah. Yeah. And it makes it, men and women conversate and interact conversationally differently.
Yeah,
And as you get older as a man, you start to get better at navigating the conversation when speaking with your wife, significant other,
right.
or just just women in general, because there's a certain way that you have to be. Let's Sometimes you have to be a little politically correct. You have to be a little contrite. You have to watch your tone, etc., in order to get the point across. Because sometimes, let's face it, when you say something that the lady doesn't like, a woman doesn't like, it can turn her off. So that could put you in a position where you're dealing with someone romantically, and um, it puts your loving in jeopardy because you kept it a little bit too real about something. So, it's something. Sometimes it can be a little tough to navigate, and that's
Yeah,
one of the things as related to the topic of tonight, boys to men, that men learn from their fathers or should learn from their fathers how to conversate, get your message across without turning the switch off. With your of your wife or girlfriend.
yeah, man, you almost opened it. Well, you did open up a can, but I'm gonna put a lid on it. But you opened up a can, um, and the reason why I say that is because the necessity, even to the point of the uh, severity of a young man not having a relationship, access, conversations, opportunity to learn from their father or father figure. I understand that sometimes fathers
Yeah.
aren't available. We understand that.
Yeah.
So even father figures, because you got to think about it. There's some ladies out here that they don't want men around their boys.
Yeah.
That's why I say that's a can, right? That's a can.
Yeah.
They don't want around their boys, but they're comfortable having their sons around women and their girlfriends and their auntie
Yes.
and their grandma. So you got to understand there are adverse. Obviously, there's positivity because that's family, and you don't want
Yep.
to,
Sure.
not give access. But there are also adverse actions and situations when you do not allow the young men to have access to that father figure, grandfather figure, because maybe the relationship isn't tight with dad. Come
Yep.
on, man.
Yeah.
I can do this all day, but I'm not. It's a can.
Yeah.
And so my point is, because obviously, people in their relationships. I even had relationship issues with my daughters. I have adult daughters, and then we've had windows of where they was probably like, well, Dad, you could have done better.
Yeah.
You can do better. Is you gonna do better? You let downs and things like that. And
Yeah.
so that's something that just parents navigate, whether it's
Yeah.
father, daughter, father, son, daughter, mother, son, mother. But we're talking about, from a position of a son and father. And so, I'll be sharing some things, maybe part 2, part 3 of even my relationship with my son and how we met a little bit later on in life.
Yeah.
you know
Okay.
and
Yeah.
so just to give you guys some, let you know we got some real things and some conversations to really get through that you may be able to relate to, or you may hear some things for the very first time and didn't think that these type of things happen,
Yep.
or can
Yep.
happen. And so it's an opportunity to learn. It's an opportunity to absorb, and it's also an opportunity to contribute as well, because that's what we're here for. We're here to learn from each other, navigate through this thing together, and continue to have a solid positive impact as we bridge this gap.
Yep.
So, with that being said, man, any final remarks, L, as we wrap this thing up, man?
Yeah, it was just real quick. I'll touch on what you just mentioned about, the young man growing up in a home when having mostly female presence. Sometimes in a lot of the homes, especially in our community, dad's not there. Uh, he may not see or get any kind of male influence, leadership, or direction until later in life. I'll give you an example. As a young baby, you get most of your nurturing from your mom,
Yeah,
uh, who's typically available to a young boy's mom, which is her mother, which would be grandma, and maybe sisters. You take them to the daycare. It's mostly childhood development teachers are women.
yeah,
Elementary school teachers typically mostly are women. Sometimes these young men don't get any kind of male guidance or hear a male voice directing them until they get into high school.
yeah,
And by that time, man, he's mostly ingrained, mostly in taking the most of his direction from the ladies. So that may be a shock, maybe times where he acts out, etc. But man, we can get into that and go really
that's
deep.
powerful. That was powerful. You dropped
Yeah,
one, man. You
yeah,
dropped one. I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna leave it at that. You guys, as you can see, IG, TikTok. I am Rob Malloy. I do have an event on my Facebook page. If you're watching this from Facebook page, I am co-hosting an event tomorrow. It's going to be really, really fun. As far as I understand, there's still complimentary tickets, so you want to get that. You don't have to be somebody in the industry or anything like that, even though there'll be some people in the industry there, entertainment industry. But it'll be a great ambiance, a good time. TV One may be there. They may not be. There may be some representation. I don't know. I can't promise you nothing. But make sure that your face is in the place. And it's on a Thursday, so get out the house on a Thursday and enjoy yourself. I would say a drink on me,
get up,
but
get out,
my
get
luck, my luck, 40 people show up, and I'm gonna give y'all some bottles. I'm gonna be popping bottles of water. All right, so we're gonna be popping bottles of water, so you can get your shot glass all day long, man, and I'll pour it up.
man. It can get expensive quick, can't it?
It can, man. It can. So we thank you guys for jumping on here. I can't guarantee that this broadcast will be here for days and days and days, just because of the property. But you'll be able to review it on YouTube on Who Is Rob Malloy. But I can't guarantee. But continue to drop comments on there. We'll do our best to come here and answer your questions. And we'll keep you posted when we have the next broadcast. But I know you've had a lot of fun. And if you're watching this on replay, I know you all up and through the comments talking your talk. And that's what we want. That's the whole purpose, is to have thought-provoking and engaging conversation. So that being said, we appreciate you guys for jumping on here, the Raw Talk with Rob show.
Yes,
Part
sir.
1, Boys to Men, where we talked about, we just got the tip of the iceberg when we talked about how a young boy navigates as a young man, adolescent to an adult, to where who he dates, who he associates himself with, and who he actually listens to and is influenced by.
Yeah.
There is a reason. So the dudes that you dating that you keep saying are unemotionally, what do they say? Emotionally unavailable.
Yeah, whatever that means. I still ain't figured that one out.
What do you call them? Buzzwords, right? Whatever y'all came up with, man, with your online psychiatrist, psychotherapist asses. Ah, damn, I had to get it off. But but anyway, that being said, man, we out, man. God bless. Have a great rest of the week. And we'll see you guys soon.
See you, Rob. See y'all. Thanks for joining.
Peace.